Hello, my name is Janice Bengio, and I've been invited to speak to you for a few moments about setting goals and achieving goals and what I've done to achieve them through adversity. There's a lot of times in my life that I probably should have set goals and I didn't, but also I learned that you need to have goals based on what you want, what your expectations of yourself are. If you try to meet someone else's needs or do what they want you to do, you're probably not going to have fun, at least in whatever you decide to do. So decide what it is that you want to do and then set your map or your roadway to get there. So you can have a lot of ideas and think about, well, this would be fun to do, or this might help me get there. That's not really setting a goal. It's an idea, and you could be talking to yourself about it, thinking, I might want to do this one day. That's fine. But that's not goal setting. Setting a goal means that you have a deliberate action or activity you want to do, or a certain outcome you want to achieve, and then you're going to decide how you're going to do it and set that in motion to make it happen. I'll give you a couple of examples. When I was young and in high school, I didn't have a lot of encouragement for different reasons to go to college. I decided I wanted to just go to work and that would be good enough for me. I wanted to make my own money. And I did that. And it was not an easy path. I started understanding a lot of things that probably I should have listened to other people about before I decided that pathway. But it did help me decide that I needed to set a goal of going to college. Now, at the age of 25, I was working at a job where I could get a lot of information, knowledge, and experience and learn a lot of things, but I also could not move forward very much without some sort of college degree. So I decided at that point I would go to school, and I was a single mom, not getting child support and not making a whole lot of money. Great experience, great job, but not much money. And I had to pay for college all on my own. So I set a goal of how to do that, and I achieved it. Not only did I achieve it, but because my boss gave me a dare, he didn't call it a dare, but I did. I had to make sure that I could meet what he wanted me to do, and prove to him and to myself that I could do it. At that point, there was somebody else that I worked with who was an older male who had achieved going through law enforcement training, and he was the class president and he had gotten the academic award. Well, my boss said, yes, I'll sponsor you to go, but I expect no less of you than what he achieved. Well, inside, I was thinking to myself, how on earth could I do that? I've never been able to do something like that. Nobody's ever told me I needed to do it. But I immediately told him, yes, of course, I'll do that. Well, I worked really hard. I competed against some very smart, motivated, and talented people, but I did achieve the academic award, and I also was nominated and voted for class president of that group of law enforcement officers. So I was really excited that I reached that goal, and being 25 and just going back to college, I felt like that was quite the achievement, especially under the circumstances that I had. And I was able to achieve some things through my career that helped me do more and better. But as the years went on, I realized that I needed to do something else. I needed to get another degree. I was working in medical field then, and in order to move forward, I really needed to get a bachelor's degree in some kind of healthcare field. I was already working in it, but I didn't have the college degree in that area. So once again, I challenged myself and I went to school and was able to do that. A couple years later, I decided I needed to do a little more. I decided I needed a master's degree, and then I was able to get an MBA in healthcare management. By that point, I was in my 50s and couldn't hardly believe that I was doing that at that age. But also realized I was enjoying it. I love to learn. I want to be a lifelong learner. That's just me. And I guess I've always had that nerdy side. I didn't really realize it until I put my head into it and focused on it. Well, things were going on where I worked, and I knew that if I was going to stay there, I needed to have a certification in project management. Even though I had managed many projects, I didn't have that certification. And in order to move forward and get a better paying job in a senior level position with that, I was going to have to get a project management certification. Well, people who worked in that began to tell me how hard it was to get certified. And some of them had taken the exam multiple times. Some of them had repeated it, actually had taken courses to prepare for the exam more than one time. They told me about the thousands of dollars they had spent on courses to get prepared. Well, I knew the way things were going, that I probably had at best 3 months to get prepared, take the exam, pass the exam, and show that I could do it if I was going to be able to stay in that line of work. So I didn't have the kind of money, or didn't want to spend that kind of money and time preparing. So I found a course for $11 online, and I decided that would be my way to get prepared. I took the course and I was able to download some documents and study. I listened to it through my car's speakers as I was driving to and from work. So I went through the entire course 3 times, which you could go through as many times as you wanted once you paid for it. And I scheduled my exam. And, some people who knew what I was doing didn't give me a lot of faith that I was going to pass, because, trying to do it on $11 versus thousands of dollars in specific in-person courses, this was just not that. And they really didn't give me a lot of faith. But I had set my goal. My goal was to take the exam, pass it the first time, and never look back. And so that's what I did. And when I hit the submit button and it said, "Congratulations, you have passed," a part of me didn't want to believe it, but a part of me said, "Hey, Janice, you set that goal for yourself. Why would you have set it if you didn't intend on meeting it?" And that's correct. It's not that I'm that smart, it's that I'm that determined that if I set a goal for myself, I'm going to do what I have to do to make it happen. So you have to do that because you want it. As I said, it shouldn't be because somebody else wants it. I worked in medical staff services. That's in the hospitals where you do credentialing and handle other medical staff services for a hospital. So you're kind of a liaison between doctors and a hospital. And in that, we would interview doctors who wanted to come and be on staff and have privileges to practice their specialty within our hospital. I remember one doctor who came in, and on paper, everything looked great, except he had a really big gap right after he finished his medical training. There was a gap in which he didn't practice. Well, that was very odd. And it's always a red flag when you see something like that, because you don't know what happened. My mind tends to think, did they get arrested? Did they have to go into some rehab program? Something terrible must have happened to keep them from going straight into medicine. They've spent all these years and much money and time that was invested. So, we have to ask the questions. And it turns out this doctor had gone to medical school because his family expected it of him. There had been doctors in his family, so they believed that he should also do that. Well, when he finished all that training, he began to question himself, is this really what I want? Do I really want to do this? So he took about a year to think about it. And he actually worked in restaurants, and he was a server. And that gave him time to kind of clear his head from what he had done and really think about whether or not he wanted to pursue being a doctor. Well, after about a year of thinking about it, he decided, yes, I do. Well, guess what? At that point, there were some things he had to do now to get back on track so that he could practice. So I think back on that sometimes, because I think even though he thought, he was just doing this because his family wanted him to, he realized when he did some soul searching, he really wanted to do it. The problem was he had not really set goals for himself. He had not done that from the beginning. He was just going through the motions of doing what was expected. So it's so important not to waste your time or your money in life. And really, nobody has unlimited time or money. You want to be as efficient as you can with your life and make the most of it. And don't think that you can't do something because somebody says that you can't, or they may not say that you can't, but they might discourage you. But if you want to do it and it's a possibility, then make it happen. I mean, even if you don't have a lot of money to spend on coursework, there's so much free information on the internet that you can learn something. So if your ultimate goal is learning, is not necessarily a degree, you can still learn. If your goal is to get a job in a particular field, find out what it is you need for that field. Start mapping out your pathway to get there and make that happen. Now, you may need to set a goal for a certain amount of time to get there. You may need to decide to go back to school. You might need certifications, whatever it is in life. You can make your own decisions about what you want to do and reach them. Don't be discouraged. I've been so discouraged many times. Many setbacks kept me from reaching goals. I won't go through all of them, but I'll tell you, going through several marriages, several divorces, being a single parent, being forced into bankruptcy when an ex-husband filed bankruptcy, and then it all came back on me, having someone who stalked me, trying to buy a house, and then something happened and I couldn't. There's been many things, but guess what? Now everything is worked out. My kids are wonderful human being adults, and they're married, they have children, and I have excellent credit now, and I have my own house, and things worked out because guess what? I didn't sit back and cry about it. I didn't say I can't do anything about it. I found a pathway forward. I found what I could do. I made it happen. It's not always easy, and there might be tears, but you don't give up. That's the main thing. Don't give up on whatever you want to do. You can make it happen despite obstacles, despite roadblocks, and despite people saying you can't. You can still do it. I have faith in you. Make it happen. Thanks.